Hey, welcome back. This is the Blue versus Green show. I am your host, Walt, and I'm here with the other Jet fan of the show, Jose. What's up, dude?
What's going on? We got rid of that other Giants fan for this podcast. No,
yeah. It's funny because no, we didn't get rid of him. He's still lurking around.
Yeah.
But it kind of sucks that he's not here because we are going to talk about some Giant stuff. So not a lot of big Giant stuff, just Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, just some sad Giants saga stuff. Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. It's been almost like 2 months since we've been on. It's been a very, very slow news cycle until the last week, though.
It's been the off season, right? It's been a slow news cycle as a result of that. But yeah, it's been a while since we've seen y'all, and
then all of a sudden in the last week, everything just exploded. We got this and that and that and this and this and that, and it was just like, what the hell? We got
free agent signings, free agent not signings, free agents threatening to sign somewhere else, free agents saying they'll sign somewhere else, documentaries possibly affecting free agent signings.
Yeah, man.
So a lot of stuff has happened over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, a lot of crap. But let's talk about, since we're repping Jets today, right? We got to talk about my man. He got the bag. Deservedly so, right?
Jets. Yes, of course. Deservedly so. Quinnen got the bag. 4 years, $96 million, $66 million guaranteed, which is the largest guarantee in Jets franchise history. So that's an indication of exactly how valuable he is to this team. And I just want to go over a couple of numbers that I found that show you exactly how valuable he is to this Jets team. He had 12 sacks last year, but that's fantastic. That doesn't even begin to tell you what his value is to the team. When Quinnen is in the game, the Jets are first in sack rate in the NFL with a sack rate of 8.1%. When he is not in the game, they are 31st with a sack rate of 3.4% in comparison. So his impact on this team is massive. I mean, it's not just the 12 sacks that he gets. It's the amount of sacks that the rest of the team gets because of the threat that he poses. So, I mean, he's one of the most important players on the team. If probably the most important player on defense. Well, not the most important player on defense, probably, depending on how you feel about Sauce, right?
I still think Quinnen is the guy that drives the bus when it comes to the defense, because without Quinnen, without the pressure, that makes Sauce's and DJ's job a lot harder, because now they got to cover for longer. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I do agree that Quinnen is probably the most important, the most impactful player on the defense.
Yeah.
And
number one and number two, doubtless, but yeah, definitely.
Here's a weird thing with the signing of the contract. The Jets cap space for this year actually went up.
I didn't know that. Wait, how does that work? How does cap space go up when you sign a player to the $6 million guarantee? Does he have like something backloaded on this contract?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If we go by the years, for this year alone, he goes against the cap $6.4 million.
That's fantastic.
So hence the reason why our cap space went up. But if you go into 24 through 27, 2024, it's 20.4 million. 2025, 21.65 million. 26, he's at 26.65 million. And 2027 is when you really get that big cap hit against, the salary cap. He goes at $30.4 million. But, and here's the thing about this particular contract that they signed, because it's very, very complicated, this contract, right? He's going to be averaging $24 million per year, which I believe is what only Aaron Donald has a higher average per year.
Yeah, in terms of defensive players.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's getting a lot of bonuses also throughout this contract, and it's bonuses, it's pay or play. So if he doesn't show up for like a game, that's $64,000 that he misses. And I think within like each year he gets an additional 1.5 million because of it if he plays a full entire 17 game season, right?
Okay.
But the other thing, and the more interesting thing, is that he's guaranteed 2 years. The rest of the 3 quote unquote 3 years, it's a 4-year contract, but the Jets do have a 5th year option. Those last 3 years are optional to the Jets.
Okay.
So they can cut them at any time. And the last year of the contract with dead cap money, I think it's like a ridiculously low number. I think, if I remember correctly, and I'm going to have to double check that, his dead cap number for the last year of the contract is probably like around $5 million. Okay. So it's a very team friendly contract in terms of the later years, but Quinnen gets his money, and like I said, deservedly so. The man has done everything right for this organization, and you can say that for a lot of the players that the Jets have brought in, because the Jets have been so far very, very lucky in the type of players that they're bringing in who are team first, don't get in trouble, don't miss time because of it. You know what I'm saying? And Quinnen is, again, one of these guys that fits that mold of that Jet player perfectly.
Yeah, and if you have an instance where a player doesn't really fit that mold as perfectly as the Jets would like it, it's a player that gets tossed out, essentially. We saw that last year.
And we saw that with Jamal Adams, right?
Yeah, we see that with any player that's really not, fitting in with what is this current version of Jets culture, which is actually a really solid culture that the team's building right now. Yeah, but I mean, it's great that Quinnen has given us that team-friendly contract as well, and you can tell the buy-in that he has for the franchise when it comes to that. Because a 4-year contract with a 5-year option is also putting him at his age 30 year, about when most defensive tackles are going to start to decline at least a little bit, right? That's just getting past their prime. It's a tough position. But he's getting his money then while still providing some space for the team to avoid having to take big cap hits by the way that it's structured. So
and the cool thing about it, the fact that we now sit at $25.8 million in cap space, which is 4th in the league, right? In terms of right now this year, that kind of tells me that there's another move coming. There has to be something.
I think that you can definitely say that this is some good money they can use to shore up some bench players. I think that would be the best thing to do, like some solid defensive tackles. I don't know about a quarterback, right? We got our backup quarterback supposedly.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of them, right? We have actually 4 quarterbacks on the roster. We have obviously Aaron and Zach. We have Tim Boyle, and you can't forget about Streveler, right?
Yeah, we still have Streveler. We have plenty of running backs. We have plenty of wide receivers. You figure that you can make a lot of either maybe one good impact signing defensively, or a few good role players to continue to fill positions and to continue to fill that next man up mentality that we and the team have talked about so much over the last season.
I do have a wish list. Obviously, you've seen it on Twitter all over the place. We want Quan back. Quan Alexander needs to come back to the Jets. That's an area that they need, right? Because linebacker, I think they're bringing in. They're having those 2 safeties that they've converted into linebackers take up that 3rd spot. So, and I've heard that they're doing pretty well and they're very high on him. But you know what? Quan was the guy that came in last year knowing Salah's defense and stuff like that, and he was a guy that kind of electrified not only the team but the fan base. I mean, if you go on Twitter everywhere, everybody's saying Quan come back, right?
Yeah.
So that's a guy that I would go for. And quite honestly, I know Dalvin Cook is still out there. I'd kick the tires on that. Because
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and this is the reason why. And I know our running back room is pretty good because we have Brees, we have Michael Carter. I'm really, really high on Izzy Abanikanda. You also have Bam Knight from last year and stuff like that. But here's the thing, and this is the reason why I think bringing in a guy like a Dalvin Cook, or I'll even go Kareem Hunt, right? Why it makes sense to bring them in here is because Brees, even though by all accounts in training camp so far, he is 100%. He's doing everything that he can possible, and he looks really, really good. But he's coming off of that injury, and that injury usually takes like about a year before you're 100% back to the way you are. So Dalvin Cook / Kareem Hunt, for me, gives you that what's the word I'm looking for? That protection in case Brees comes back and he's not 100%, at least for the first six weeks of the beginning of the year. You know what I'm saying?
Serviceable number one, where
exactly
most of what we have is a lot of secondary running backs on the team.
Exactly. So that's why I still kind of want either Cook or Hunt here, just as kind of like a backup plan. And if you listen to the way Cook talks, he seems like he wouldn't mind coming here and doing like that split role. And it helps because at the end of the day, if you have Cook here, it kind of gives Brees Hall some time not only to get better, but it lessens the amount of carries that he has during the year, so that toward the end of the season, when you're making that big push for the playoffs, and when you get into the playoffs, Brees Lightning, he is hitting his stride. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of why I'd like to see Cook and Hunt here. And we've got the cap space to do it.
Yeah, we have the cap space to do it. We have the money to do it because the quarterback situation this year, the running back situation this year is not one where a lot of running back free agents are getting a ton of money. I think the biggest contract we've seen this year in the offseason was about $5 million a year or something like that. And Dalvin Cook, I mean, one of the favorite teams to sign Dalvin Cook right now is the Patriots. So it could be a little bit of revenge for what they did to us in the draft, I guess.
I guess.
They need a solid running back, and Dalvin Cook would make them a much better team. Actually, he would be a solid fit on the Patriots. So if we screw him over, I wouldn't be upset about that.
I'm also kind of happy that D Hop didn't go to the Patriots or Miami or the Bills. So, but I'm a little questionable as to why he ended up choosing the Titans. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But you know what? That's a question for another podcast, right?
And that's a question for another time. I think another more important question right now, not to move off of Quinnen Williams, but I think unless you have something to add, we've said about as much as we can say today regarding
Quinnen got his bag. Quinnen got his bag. I'm happy.
A well-deserved bag, whereas somebody else is still seeking their bag right now from the New York Giants. So we're going to rep our buddy Gabe in this conversation and talk a little bit about Saquon Barkley and what the heck is going on over there.
Yeah, it was disappointing because today, we're recording today on Monday, the 17th, and that was the deadline for a bunch of guys to sign their franchise tags. It's not only him, but Tony Pollard from Dallas didn't sign his franchise tag. Neither did Josh Jacobs from the Raiders. So there are some guys out there that, it's questionable whether they're going to be playing this year. They're at the very least not playing in the training camp, which is something that Saquon has already said. I don't know, man. I look at the Saquon situation, and I know that Joe Shine over with the Giants, that GM over there, he's doing a bang up job in terms of building this roster. But I find it questionable that you're going to play hardball with one of your studs, one of your horses, that bell cow that you use, that was such an integral part of your playoff push last year. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I mean, we talked about it earlier. I'm trying to recall who it was that just got re-signed. I think it was the Bengals running back that recently got re-signed for about $5 million a year.
Joe Mixon?
I think it was Mixon exactly, who got about a $5 million contract a year. And I'll confirm that in a moment here. But I think that's really what Shine's doing, right? If your best signing on the market right now is about $5 million, and we're looking at $10 million or more, that's what Saquon would be seeking for his per year value. They want to play a little hardball and see if they can bring that value back down to where the market is, which is again about $5 million a year. Mixon is not as good as Barkley. I think that should be uncontroversial, and I can provide some reasoning why that's the case. But that's really what's happening here. I'm not saying it's deserved on Barkley's part. But,
no, and the thing that I would say about the Mixon signing is that it's not apples and oranges when it comes to both Mixon and Barkley, because Mixon is as good as a running back as he is in that Cincinnati Bengals system. He's not one of the main focuses. I mean, clearly the main focus over there is getting the ball from Burrow to Chase's hands, right? But with the Giants, it's a little bit of a different situation. If I remember correctly, Barkley made up at least a good 30 to 40% of the offense last year. That's a lot, that you're now messing around with. You know what I'm saying? He plays a very pivotal and vital role to that that Giants offense. It kind of helps.
The Jets, I know.
But... No, I know. But it kind of helps with Barkley. It kind of helps DJ, right? Because if 100%. You got so why in the world are you trying to mess with that? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, let's qualify some other things, right? When it comes to Joe Mixon, there's also some legal issues that are continuing right now for him. He's not been convicted of anything, but he's facing some legal issues, which I'm not going to go into too much detail on. But to your point, I was going to get ready to play devil's advocate for myself, because there are some numbers that prove your point. Again, I'm talking about the politics and the money when it comes to the Giants and Joe Shine. But if you look at it from the perspective of impact, I got a little bit of information here.
There you go.
377 touches last season, which is fourth most in the NFL, which is, you said about 30 to 40%. It is 40+%.
There you go.
The Giants offense.
I was trying to be nice. You know what I'm saying?
But like, that's just you're trying to be nice to Daniel Jones and the rest of the Giants offense, but that is the impact that Barkley has had.
That's huge.
Talk about the impact that running backs have in the modern NFL and how that affects his valuation also. But on the impact side of it, that is massive. Okay, you want to compare some other numbers. Daniel Jones, who just got the bag as a quarterback, had 15 touchdowns last year, 15 touchdown passes. Saquon Barkley, a running back, the numbers are a little bit different. Of course, he had 10 rushing touchdowns. And the other number that I want to impart here to give you a little bit of an idea of how much value he has is he had 76 targets from Daniel Jones last season, which is a pretty big number for the running back position as well. 74% of those were catches, 57 of those, and that was for 10 first downs. So 57 catches, 10 first downs.
Who was the leading receiver last year? I gather it's not going to be that much further down the line. You know what I'm saying?
I think he had
almost 60 or 70. I
think he had almost 400 receiving yards, 350 or something. So let's take a look. I'm not a Giants fan, so I have to research this. You might hear me typing away over here to figure out.
Let me see if I can grab it real quick. Also,
awful Giants season. The best receiver on the Giants last year was Darius Slayton, 724 receiving yards, so about double.
Okay,
but for your number one wide receiver, it should be about triple what your running back is getting in terms of catching yards. You should be at the 1,000 mark or close to it, right? If you're talking about a true number one wide receiver.
Listen,
and the second best was 569 with Richie James.
Right.
Nobody else was better than Saquon.
But look at the receptions. He tied with Richie James for the lead in receptions for his team.
Yeah. So that's the amount of value.
They both had 57. So you're telling me that he was one of your leading receivers. He was your leading rusher. And you don't find value in that? I mean, I get you're looking at this, and I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about Joe Shine. You're looking at this from a business perspective, but you know what? Business demands that if you're going to put a good product on there, listen, you got to pay them, right?
Yeah.
And I understand the whole devaluing, which I got to tell you annoys the shit out of me when it comes to the devaluing of a running back, because if you, and we were having this discussion early on Instagram, right? But you know, you want to complain that these guys break down, right? And he's only 25, 26 years old. Usually when you break down, you're talking about in your 28s, your 29s, you're getting into your 30s for running backs, right?
Yeah.
He's only 25, 26 years old. So, technically he still has some years left on him. But I think if I find it disingenuous, and here's the thing that's wonky about this. From 2017 to last year, every single position for the franchise tag went up, save for one, which is the running back. The running back position in 2017, the franchise tag was $12.1 million. This year, $10 million. And like I said, the disingenuous thing about it is that the owners are going to come around and say, well, you know what? The reason why we don't pay the running backs, this much money is because they break down. Well, you know what? If you're running them 300-400 times a year, what do you expect? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not like a quarterback where he drops back and gets hit and doesn't have the luxury of the quarterback in terms of the rules that the NFL place on touching it. A running back is going through the line and probably getting hit 6 or 7 times every single carry. If you're running him 30, 40 times a game, what do you expect?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I find it disingenuous that the owners are devaluing the position because of the way that they're playing the players, and then saying when it's time for that second contract, oh, I'm sorry, I can't pay you because you know what? You're about to break down pretty soon. When the reason that they're doing it is because they're overusing these guys,
Well, yeah, they see them as the workhorses of these teams, the unsung workhorses, because the money and the name recognition goes to the Mahomeses, goes to the Bradys, goes to the Josh Allens, goes to the Joe Burrows. Doesn't matter what they really had behind them in order to shore up that offense and make sure that offense was able to stay on the field and stay healthy and stay fresh by beating up their bodies for a good 20 to 30 to 35 touches a game.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, our opinion is obviously different, but it's just the political and monetary machinations that basically are driving the value down on these running backs, and the amount of value that a lot of other fans actually place on running backs in terms of what they want to see. So hopefully you'll see that reverse over the next couple of seasons. I think Barkley's worth the money.
So do
if
I.
The Giants have it.
I think if there's anybody that is, because again, we go back to the guy doesn't get hurt. Well, he gets hurt. Granted, fine. I'll give you that much. But he's never in trouble. He's always, when he's playing, he plays exceptional. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of sad that the Twitter that he posted at 3:54 was literally just 5 words. It is what it is. That's all he posted.
Yeah.
5 minutes before the deadline. Everybody knew what that meant. Now the question for the Giants become, that he's going to miss training camp. He's already spoken prior to this, I think about a month or so ago, that he has to now really consider holding out for the season until he gets what he wants, So, now it's a bad situation for both parties, right? Because if Saquon plays, there's a chance he could get hurt, and that affects him next year. If he doesn't play, then that sucks for the Giants because you're missing now half of your offense. How do you replace that? You don't have that. You don't have anybody on that roster right now that can come close to what Saquon Barkley does for your team. So bad situation all the way around, in my opinion.
Especially when, as you and I have mentioned, and we don't think that the impact that the wide receiver room has changed for the Giants, and we don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on their
they still don't have what you want to call a true number one wide receiver. They have a good 1A, 2 receivers. They have a good group there, and maybe one of those guys rises up. But as of right now, you're not. As a defense, you're not terrified of the Giants wide receiver room. They're very good. I will give you that. They have some players that are solid players, but you don't have any great players in that room right now. So,
what's a better wide receiver room, and one that I'm looking forward to watching all season on HBO and on YouTube? The Jets wide receiver room. The Jets wide receiver room is I think top 10. I think the Jets wide receivers
Really?
room is top 10. I think it is. Yeah, I think it's going to be top 10 in the
Okay.
league.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be any better than that necessarily, but it could be with the ability of Rodgers to make them that much better, because I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a great season. But Wilson, Lazard, Davis, Hardman, Cobb, and Mims is a far better wide receiver depth chart than what the poor Giants have right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? The guy that I'm really high on is Hardman. I think he has the ability, and he has that talent to really stretch that field and make it impossible for defensive coordinators. I don't think that Rodgers is the Rodgers of 3 or 4 years ago, but he doesn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? And I think our line is going to be better. And like I said, Lazard's impact is the red zone. Hardman's impact is, the deep routes and opening up that field.
Tyreek Hill,
exactly. Right? So that Garrett can eat all day. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, we're going to get to see it because starting August 8th at 10 o'clock at night, it's I think a Tuesday, right? HBO, it's going to be on HBO. It's going to be on the Max streaming service. The Jets are on Hard Knocks for the second time, right?
Is it the second time? I think this is the first time.
No, the second time, because the last time that the Jets were on Hard Knocks was with Rex Ryan.
Let's make sure we play like the New York Jets and not some slap team. That's what I want to see tomorrow. Do we understand what the I want to see tomorrow? Let's go to eat a damn snack.
And they went to the AFC Championship that year.
It was one of the earlier years in Hard Knocks. It's been a long time since the Jets have been anywhere of value. That was 13 years ago or something like that.
Something like that.
13, 14, 15 years ago. So the second time, but maybe with more hope this time around.
Well, they went into Hard Knocks the last year with a lot of enthusiasm. I think it might have been Rex's first year, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, he took him to the AFC Championship with Sanchez at quarterback. So let's hope that we get the exact same thing happen this year. You know what I'm saying? Which it's funny because the Jets wanted no part of Hard Knocks this year.
Really? So the decision, I guess, was made by the NFL to put them on HBO. They wanted no part of it. Why? They have their own One Jets Drive, Flight 23 documentary.
Listen,
they wanted to control the narrative there, I guess.
Well, they felt it was going to be a distraction. They felt it was going to be a distraction because, and even just a couple of days ago, Aaron Rodgers was doing that golf tournament that he was doing, and he literally said, "Well, they forced us to be on Hard Knocks this year."
Listen, one of the only things I like about Hard Knocks is the voice of God who narrates it.
Right.
Live. I hope I get to meet him. But look, I understand the appeal with us. Obviously, there's a lot of eyes on me, a lot of eyes on our team, a lot of expectations for our squad. So they forced it down our throats, and we got to deal with it.
So he's not happy about it either, it sounds like.
And neither is Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has been, very frank about it. He was like, they're going to be a distraction. We'd rather not be there. It's funny. The only team that really wanted to be on Hard Knocks this year was the Washington Commanders, but we know what an utter clusterfuck that organization is right now. So,
I mean, it would be better reality TV, maybe. Hopefully. Honestly, I hope we don't have anything like that happen to the Jets this season on Hard Knocks. But
I think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is that even though they said it's a distraction, everybody says that the Hard Knocks crew are very, very good at kind of like blending into the background, So, hey, we'll see. And like you said, One Jets Drive, they do their phenomenal documentaries, 19 Emmy nominations this year for last year's version of One Jets Drive. So, and the funny thing is, their documentary their first episode is a day before Hard Knocks.
The first episode of the season, the regular season, right? One day before. because they've had those 3 episodes so far. The one about the draft, the one about the arrival of Aaron Rodgers, and the one about Aaron Rodgers being a monster and having an incredible killer.
Those are phenomenal documentaries, by the way. You know, those are really, really good, and they do it throughout the season as well. So it's a nice way to kind of like see the inner workings of the Jets, not only from training camp on, but in the season as well. So, you know,
the quality is fantastic. I mean, 19 Emmy nominations sort of makes sense, because when I think of it, it's like an ESPN 30 for 30. It's like a Michael Jordan documentary or a Derek Jeter documentary in terms of quality. The interviews that they get, the footage that they pull, like the backstage access that they've gotten to the people that they need to get to. And I mean, they're probably a little bit more intrusive maybe than Hard Knocks will end up being in the end, since they're getting very direct interviews in a lot of cases. But
hey, let me ask you a question.
It's entertaining, and we'll see. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Between One Jets Drive and Hard Knocks, is there any players that you're looking forward to seeing, like being featured, or just I want to see what this guy does throughout that whole season, I guess, if you want to call it that? I don't know.
I mean, I really have enjoyed watching Sauce Gardner on social media so far. He's been a great spokesman for the team. He's been a great leader for the team. He was instrumental, not instrumental, but he was one of the leaders in getting A-Rod to come here in the first place. Yeah, during the season, even before we got to all this conversation in the offseason, during the season, just by endearing himself to A-Rod in the game that he beat him in, you know,
burning the cheese head
to get him here.
Burning the cheese head.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he knew exactly what the man wanted. He knew what A-Rod wanted. He wanted some respect. He wanted somebody that he could take under his wing other than the quarterback, because it seems like they've become good friends. They've been seen in public together at many events.
Have you seen
Knicks
this?
Games. What do they have a smoke together?
No, they have their own little it's kind of like a greeting or that. It's this, and then they go into their handshake.
Okay, so it's cigars and handshakes, I guess.
If you want to say cigars, but you know,
I mean, it's the off season. I think the NFL just made that legal now, right? In the collective bargaining agreement in the last off season or two. So
they have their own greeting. They have their own thing. So
yeah,
you know, whatever it is. I don't know.
They talked to Jessica Alba together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you know. So
Sauce didn't know she was.
Nope. Not at all.
He's a young kid. But I'm looking forward to seeing him. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing all the rookies. Obviously, I'm excited to see how they acclimate to things. Leadership of Aaron Rodgers, leadership of I think Lazard is going to probably emerge as a leader. Yeah. He's got the personality for it. He's not the best wide receiver, but he's a great team player. You know, he's going to help the rest of the wide receiver room get acclimated to A-Rod, I think. Get to understand him better, connect with him better. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why they signed Lazard on that side of the ball. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen there too. The fans. I want to see what they get from the fans in this too, because
I'm so burnt about that. I'm so burnt about that because
they might not get too much, or we might not be involved in it because of what you went through today. Tell us about it.
So I was super pumped up and super excited because some of the players that I wanted to go see in terms of training camp and see where they're at and how they're responding. Obviously, I'm a Zach truther, so I wanted to see how he was responding. So far in the offseason, he's done everything right in terms of not saying anything. Way to go, Zach. You know what I'm saying? Because whenever Zach opens his mouth, especially last year, he always got in trouble. Yeah. So that to me is just maturation right there in of itself, right?
Well, yeah, but exactly. But he's also next to A-Rod. He must at least someone know.
A-Rod probably smacks him and say, "Shut up, dude." Yeah. But I wanted to see Zach in terms of just progressing and seeing how he was throwing the ball and stuff. I wanted to see Michael Clemens because I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a monster, and he is a super villain in a Jet uniform, and I love him for it. You know what I'm saying?
He's a scary enforcer, and everybody on the team basically said it. I think it was one of one of their social media posts. They were talking about who the scariest player was or something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, literally
everybody said that.
literally, they came up to him, the social media guys. This is around the time that Aaron Rodgers was going to the what's her name, the concert,
Taylor
Jesus
Swift.
Christ, Taylor Swift concert.
Taylor Swift, yeah.
And they were asking all the players what was their favorite song from Taylor Swift.
Mhm.
They went up to Michael Clemens. He didn't even finish the thing. He was like, no, and he just walked away.
Yeah.
Love the guy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see that. And today was the day where the first 4 dates of Jets training camp was open. And it started at 10 o'clock for the season ticket holders and 11 o'clock for the general public. I was on there 15 minutes before, just like the instructions said from the email, because I've been to training camp for like the last, I want to say 5 or 6, 7 years. I've gone to at least once to training camp, right? So I got on at work, used my phone, left it in the queue, because when I got on, there was 400 people in front of me in that queue at 15 minutes before 11.
Mhm.
As soon as the queue hit 11, it said, hold on, wait a second. We're getting your tickets ready. Hold on just a little bit longer. And then 3 minutes later, the screen refreshed itself and said, sold out.
Yeah. So you're not going to get to see any of the live development of some of these players in training camp,
Right,
like you
exactly.
had the last few seasons.
And normally I would have more time, but you and I both know we're going on vacation in like a week and a half. I'm heading out to you guys.
You're going to come see the Jets fan in the South over here.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of messes up with my whole training camp schedule, right? Because a majority of the training camp is going to happen while we're over down south and stuff, right?
I mean, that upsets me a little bit, because as far as what I wanted to see in training camp, one of my most exciting X factors is Kuntz, the tight end that we drafted.
Yes.
Because of his athletic ability.
Yes.
I want to see if like something emerges, and if he again the thing that they talk about with him is his intelligence and his maturity as a tight end. But if he gets better there,
can I say one thing
impactful
about Kuntz? And I'm with you. When they drafted him, I was huge on Kuntz, because he's a guy that has the physical prowess that you can't teach, right? And if you can get, the football acumen and make sure that he's running routes and everything, he would be a problem. But the problem is they signed an undrafted free agent who is actually outperforming Kuntz as of this moment, up until now. His name is EJ Jenkins. He is, again, another guy. I think he's like 6'8", but he is a little bit more polished than Kuntz is, because Kuntz is more of a project. He's kind of like a raw kid coming out of college. This Jenkins guy, like I said, undrafted free agent. He's actually playing better. So that's going to be a battle that I would have been able to watch if I was able to get tickets. Now, here's the frustrating thing. Not less than 30 minutes later. Now, mind you, these are free tickets. Not less than 30 minutes later, there are posts all over the place. 24 tickets, batches, selling them for $34.
Yeah.
That annoys the fuck out of me.
The scalpers botted you.
Yep.
They outbotted you on this.
They did. And that frustrates me and annoys me to no end. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's funny because if you saw Twitter right before that, and then everybody started talking about, oh, it's 3 minutes, it's all gone. Some of the things that some of the guys were saying was like, please don't do this. They're free tickets. Don't resell. You know what I'm saying? So that just annoys the crap out of me. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it is what it is. It's the Aaron Rodgers effect in full force, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go to the Jets Giants game this season. You're wanting to go to the Jets Giants game, and the cost of that is going to be astronomical too. Getting up to $200 for the most nosebleeded seats.
Yeah, last I checked, it was like $275.
$275
for literally tickets where you have to duck every time a plane leaves Newark Airport.
More and more.
So it's just annoying. It's just really, really annoying. Like I said, I'm usually a guy that at least goes to 2 games a year. We do a preseason game. We're doing one this year. We're doing the Jets Giants preseason, but you know, it's hard to justify spending $600 for 2 tickets when you got a family to feed and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
that's quite a bit to spend on one Jets game
and that's not even including food, and that's not even including the $70 parking fee to get into the stadium.
The gas from Queens,
and the gas, yeah,
to get there.
But hey, I don't want to sound like a bitter Jets fan who couldn't get tickets to training camp. So,
even though you're a bitter Jets fan that couldn't get tickets to training camp, but that's all right. Scalpers, y'all should probably go
suck.
To you know,
exactly.
Suck for botting all this stuff. I want to leave off on perhaps one more statistic, if we can close out over here, that's going to demonstrate the reason why I'm so interested in Zach Kuntz, why I'm so bullish on the Jets wide receiver room, and why I really, really hope that one of those tight ends can emerge as a really solid check down for Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers' numbers last season, deep. He threw 40 times, 30 plus yards downfield, 6 completions, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. If that's any indication of where the trajectory of his career is going, then he's going to be throwing a lot less to a Mecole Hardman and more to a Kuntz or a check down. But the option will be important. So I'm excited to see how they emerge. And hopefully those numbers improve for Rodgers, and it was a result of the thumb injury that we have deliberated about. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Prayers.
So yeah, definitely. Listen, like I said, what's the stat that everybody talks about? The Jets last year averaged 18 points a game. If they had just averaged the league average of, I think, 22 points, we would have definitely been in the playoffs and probably been at least one of the better records in the league at that point. So just by that alone, Aaron Rodgers is going to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still hoping we see 40-yard touchdowns from Mecole Hardman. So
I think we'll still see a few, hopefully more than 2, but just by himself alone, and then we'll have a nice successful season.
Absolutely. All right, people, this is the end of the road for this Jets / Giants podcast. Although we tried our best, right? I think we did pretty good.
I'm looking for the Giants fan around here. I don't see one. Normally there's one to my left or to my right, but
but I think we repped pretty
he's here
well.
In spirit.
I think we repped pretty well. You know,
hopefully represented some of his thoughts on Barkley, but we'll give him a chance to speak on those, hopefully with a better result in a few weeks for him. Yep.
So I know we listen, we're getting close to the season. We're almost there. You know, training camp is here. We're going to get into preseason, and we're going to have the full crew together. So, but until then, guys, just remember, hit that, where is it? Over here. Hit that subscribe button, you know, hit that notification bell. Check us out. We're going to be back with more episodes and stuff like that. And until then, what do we always say?
Yep.
Go Giants
and go Jets.
Go Jets.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.